All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us started to our monthly Community Coalition meeting. Man, I am so pleased so many of you made it out. I had a number of calls today. Are you canceling? And you know there's tornadoes coming and you're going to put us out in danger and all those kinds of things. And of course I would not do that. So for those of you here for the first time, I'm Tracy Parsons. I'm the facilitator of our Community Coalition group. Thank you so much for making it out to what I believe is one of the best spaces in our community to build collaboration and partnership, support for your ideas, the work of your organizations, and most importantly, closing these gaps so our kids and families don't continue falling through the gaps. So welcome. We start our meetings out with good news that's happened since our last meeting. So this is not a testimony or a commercial for your organization and your programs, but wonderful space to share something good that's happened for you or your organization. Is there anyone that wants to go? I've got a mic here. Mary Catherine has one back there for you if there's some good news to share. 9.
So it's about Geico.
About what?
Say 15%. So the last couple of years, some of us in Champaign, Urbana have been working on applying for a planning grant from the Illinois Department of Human Services in order to look at developing a juvenile redeploy program in Champaign County. Champaign is one of the few counties across the state that does not get those resources to work with those most challenging juveniles. And today we got word that we've been awarded a small grant for Champaign County to do that.
All right.
So anyone that's interested in thinking about another way of working with our juveniles here in Champaign County, for right now I'm the sort of contact person for that. So that's good news.
All right. One more.
I'm going to embarrass Tracy here. I'm Barbara Jones, and I'm teaching a course at Ollie called Gun Violence, What Can We Do? And Tracy spoke to us yesterday and stayed for a whole hour and a half, and there are a whole bunch of people fired up to do something, Tracy, and it's because of you, and I want to thank you very much.
All right, so the other part of this meeting, thank you, Barbara. It was a great group and conversation, and it went all across the place. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, for those of us that are intentionally working on this gun violence stuff, there aren't spaces for people to share and ask their questions. So there's so much unknown. Part of it is the only way you get information is through social media or the media, and both of them usually have it wrong. So how we are able to share accurate, factual information is really, really important. So welcome, everybody. Come on, give yourself. All right. So we meet monthly. For those of you that are here for the first time, please feel free to share about the coalition and a great space and place, way to get involved in our community. So we are, as we get Mindy up, to talk about our YES program. We've gone through a really, really difficult time as a community and as a nation. Obviously, our young people have been impacted in unbelievable ways. And so we've been doing summer jobs for young people for a long time. And it is really, 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 really important as a community that we come together to understand our YES program. We need our kids working this summer. They need the experience, and more importantly, they need the money. So Mindy's going to talk to us about YES.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm going to try to do two things at once here. So, yes, so I supervise the YES program, and normally I have a student with me, which is always much more exciting for everybody than to have to listen to me talk. But today I'm actually talking to employers as opposed to just giving an update. Usually I come at the end of our summer program and share all the cool things that we've been doing. This year, I'm coming at this time because we are a bit light on our worksite numbers. And so I really want to make an appeal to the community to consider if you could have a student work with you. So I'm going to start by just giving a little overview, and then I'll get into the details for employer sites. So our mission changed coming into this 2021-22 school year to creating a YES for every student. If you worked with us in the past, we had eligibility restrictions, and that was a bit limiting in which students we could help. We don't have those anymore. Coming away from COVID, we made the option, or the choice, to not go back to looking at grades and attendance and those things as a determining factor of how much you deserve the support from our program. So that's a really exciting piece for us. We can now help any high school Unit 4 student who wants job services. This is our new vision. In accordance with that change, we've also shifted what our vision is. So any student who seeks career readiness and skill development can get the support needed. To carry this out, another change that we've made is we have expanded the type of support we offer to students. Rather than making them all fit into the box of a service where they are put in a summer job, I was having a lot of older students especially who were working already telling me they didn't want to do YES because they didn't really need our help, which is great. We're happy if they're finding work on their own. We've sort of done our job, but that doesn't mean they don't still need help. And so this is a way that we can still support students without making them fit into a particular type of support service. And then our values, if you'll notice how adorable we are, they spell out skills, which, yes, I know, we're really cute. But these are the most important parts of our program as well. We want to be sure students have support, knowledge, that they have influence, and that they are well influenced by people in their community. We teach listening, and we also want to model what that looks like. We're teaching leadership, again, also modeling it for them, and we are setting them up for success. So just so you have a quick picture of what the program looks like already, that number has already changed since I made this 2 days ago. So we're a couple students even above that. We're on track to have over 100 students that are very excited to be working this summer. And currently the number of work sites that we are on track to have is about 25 to 30. So we need to almost double our work sites in order to ensure that we can keep our promise that any student who wants our classic level of support, which guarantees them a summer job, that we're able to follow through on that promise to them. This year, we have a really exciting partnership with Actions, which is Unit 4's alternative detention program, alternative suspension program, where they are doing a summer program with some rising ninth graders. So these are students who just left 8th grade. And we are partnering with them to provide work opportunities of up to 10 hours a week for the students who are 14 in that program. So that's another unique situation that we are a part of this year that will change a little bit what type of workplace they might go to. Again, as I mentioned, we're on track to have 25 to 30 sites, and our goal is to be closer to 50 or 60. If you follow us on Instagram, we're cool now. We don't just have Facebook anymore, we have Instagram. So this is something that we shared a few weeks ago. These are a couple of details about what a work site might need to know. So our students range from 14 to 19. We handle the work permit, we do the tax paperwork, we cover payroll. You just have to provide the position and the support for them. And I know just providing a person who can monitor a student is not a just. I know that's a big ask. But all of those pesky paperwork things we can at least take off of your plate for you. Our jobs can run from June to August. We have a slightly expanded timeline this summer. That was in response to some of our employer feedback where our program was ending as their work was ramping up. So we're trying to also shift and provide a little bit of extra wiggle room there. And our students, if they're covered by our program's budget, are capped at 105 hours. Whatever they choose or you choose to have them spread that out over those weeks in the summer. Once they hit 105 hours, they have to stop working or you have to start paying them instead of us. So happy to have them keep working if they want to, but they're on your dime at that point. And then we're also looking for representation across a variety of career fields. So the goal for our program is to make sure that we are teaching the difference between a paycheck job and a job that is not just for a paycheck. So we don't want students to think that work has to be something that is just so that they can get money to get by. We really want to encourage them to think bigger and think about what their dream job is and then our job is to help them make connections to move towards that. Paycheck jobs are important because we need money, but we don't want to have to feel like we're stuck there for the rest of our lives. So given the feedback we're getting right now, these are the areas that we particularly are lacking in work sites. We have a lot of interest in some of these areas, and they're a bit harder for us to break into, and particularly along the lines of trades and entrepreneurship. We have a lot of students who want to be their own boss, but they need to understand all of the things that go into that. So if there's small business owners who are interested in the possibility of partnering, but are overwhelmed by the number of hours they would have to come up with, we should talk, because we have some ways that we can kind of cheat around that for everybody. So if you think you might be interested in getting involved, my information is up here. This is my email address, which is the best way to reach me because that way I can respond to you with our electronic form. Everything is online now, thanks COVID. That sort of eliminated a lot of our paperwork. So we have an interest form that's online. You can also go to our super cool Instagram and locate it in our bio. We're so cool. Very professional in the social media. But so if you go to our Instagram, we have a link tree in our bio page, and you can access the form there as well. And then once you're done with that, you'll be added to the list to be sure that you have our job description form. We have a big virtual career fair coming up on May 10th, so the clock is ticking. We're trying to get people lined up as quick as we can so that we can be sure that you're able to be at that event, which is super cool. It's kind of like watching a video game of a career fair. But you get to design a booth, and there's avatars. It's great. So I wanted to be sure and see if there were some quick questions, or maybe we don't have time for questions. I don't know. Okay.
Do all the job sites have to be a physical location, or is any remote work?
Yes, great question. So, yeah, so the question was, are the job sites all in person, or are there remote options as well? We had students very successfully do some hybrid or some fully remote jobs last year because we were still in a very uncertain time with COVID. So those are totally an option. The interest form asks what kind of position you have. Is it virtual, in person, or a hybrid?
So you mentioned on the slideshow that you guys cover the payroll. So if we have a particular job that, say, might be like $14 an hour, does that mean that you guys are going to pay that student that, or how does that portion of it work? Or can I know that?
You can know that. So do you want me to repeat the question since he had a microphone? Okay. So the question was, if the job pays pays a higher amount, do we match that? And unfortunately, the answer is no. Our budget allows for minimum wage, so that's $12 this year an hour. It goes up from last year. If your job is paying higher, we would love to encourage you to hire that student directly and let them be part of your staff, but
we would love that.
yes, so
$14 an hour? Come on, let's get it done, bro.
So the question was whether that interferes with us. We have a number of employers who choose to pay directly for their students, so they hire them. What's amazing for you about that, aside from the fact that now you're doing the payroll stuff, you don't have a cap on the number of hours that they can work. You don't have a cap on the dates. If you want them to start a little earlier, they're not maybe needing to go through our summer training week, so we can also have a little wiggle room there. We love if an employer will hire their students directly. It doesn't mean they can't still be counted as our students. They also would still be given a worksite coordinator over the summer, so you'd have a liaison between the program and the student and yourself.
Okay. My question is probably two. Will the student who is working this year have the opportunity, if they like the job so much, to continue on in that position later on? And is there any provisions made for a child who is on, for instance, Christmas break or something like that to work as well?
Yeah, so the question was, what if the student is loving their job? Can they continue on? And are there provisions for things like Christmas break? Our budget only covers summer jobs at the moment. The reason that we also expanded to this other level of support, which is called select support, is for students who want to work during the school year so that we can help facilitate any of their side needs that they may have if they're trying to work during the school year. So that would encompass a Christmas break, but in those situations, we have to find jobs that are willing to hire them directly as opposed to being covered through our budget. We would love, though, if you have any rich friends that want to throw money at us to have that happen, and we'll just pay them for the whole year. That'd be amazing. And then the other question as far as about continuing on, again, so we have had employers who love their student who, when their time being paid with us is done, have offered the student a job to continue, and then they take them on their payroll. So in that situation, we love when that happens too, when a student is able to stay in a place where they've made a solid connection. And we understand not all work sites have the ability to do that, especially some of our nonprofits or some of our other places where the work hours interfere with school work as well, or school hours. But anytime that's an option, we love that to happen.
Last question.
Yeah, is there any coordination with the Urbana School District on this?
You want that one? Yeah.
Did you have one more? Want to stand up and ask it?
So, what about like background checks and things like that?
Yeah, so we've had several, the question was background checks. We do have several locations and students have had to do background checks. We usually have a conversation, myself and the employer, about whether there's a cost or a fee associated with the check, if the employer is willing to cover that, or if the program needs to do it, but we really don't try to ask the student or their family to cover any of those types of costs if they come up. But the We don't run the background checks. That's usually something that the specific employers will do on their end if it's a requirement for working at their location.
All right, thank you. So, thank you, Mindy. Let's give her a round of applause. Oh, can I run the meeting? I got you. I'm not going to forget about you. All right. So, his question was about Urbana. So Lamond is here from Urbana, and we need to get some activity going. We do have money to fund in Urbana. So I've called the principal at the high school, and I need your help, Lamond, to get us. We've had previously programs in Urbana. Right now we don't have people in place to do the coordination. So, yes, and I need your help, brother. All right. So, Chief Carey, Dementro, we need work on campus. So I need you to ask some questions. We've worked with HR in the past about opportunities. So since COVID, we've lost those. We need your help. The university previously would give 15 job slots, Champaign, Urbana, and 10 in Rantoul. So we need all of that reignited. So anything you can do to help. I know I've seen some private folks here, some community organizations here. We need places for students to work, learn from you, learn your organizations in this work culture. So it is really important, and I'm really going to be pressing this, and you'll be hearing more and more over the next few weeks to make sure we've got enough sites for the 100+ kids that we're going to have. So MC, did you? So we have a program called the Goal Gators. I know you all have heard about it. And this week, we've had some really cool things. When we talk about the impact we can have on young people, you know, we often, as a community, focus on those that are struggling, that we continue to work with, need to work with, but we don't take and celebrate the successes that we have. And so on the far side of the slide, you see an advertisement for soil culture. And the owner of this company is Ontario Sims. He was one of our goal getters, right? He came to one of our meetings back in the day. So Ontario's really interesting because he was one of the students we got the scholarship and raised money for to go to Parkland College out of high school. And he really didn't want to go. He was trying to do what we wanted him to do versus doing what he wanted to do. And as many said, many of our students and our kids really want to be entrepreneurs and all those kind of things, right? This is a new world than how we grew up, where you go, right? So he's got a lawn care, landscaping business that he's set up. We've only provided minimal support to him, and he's doing that thing. So I wanted to share that soil culture. I know all of you are getting lawn work done at your homes, and soil culture. Look it up, Google him. They've got his website, and let's get him some business. Let's keep him so busy that he can't handle it. So, okay. Stand up for us, Karen, and then let Ashley give you the mic.
He also co-facilitates a group at Novak around grief. So, right, a full circle. So I don't know if you know that, but he's a co-facilitator of a group, and now he is interested in going to school. It just was at the right time. So he's doing both, and so just to sort of see that full continuum, and that's the vision that we're trying to create. So I just...
Yeah, all right.
Thank you,
Thanks for that additional plug. So, Ashley, if you could bring that to Joycelyn. So, Scotland on the right here is on this advertisement for Parkland College. And he's part of the Black Student Success Program that they've created out at Parkland. And again, just a bright, energetic young man, but quiet. Really struggled with fitting in at school. I think he was at Centennial, right, Sheldon? And, wasn't feeling school, but he was, and Sheldon could tell you more about just what a great young man he is. And he's now out at Parkland and doing really well. And I was so pleased to see an advertisement from Parkland and see him featured. So I wanted to bring that to the group to just share that our work is having a positive impact, right? And there are many of these stories that we just don't get enough time to promote and acknowledge and recognize. So thanks for letting me indulge this. And go ahead, Joycelyn, sorry.
I just want to give one more plug. I did not know that Ontario was part of the Goal Getters. He was my lawn service provider until he... I live on the wrong side of town now, so he really does a good job. So if you're looking for somebody, I recommend him.
Thank you. Okay, so a big part of our meeting is our law enforcement representatives, so we're going to ask them to come on up to do their monthly updates and share a little bit about what's happening in each one of the departments. Chief Searles in Urbana had an emergency and had to go out of town, and Chief Copeman sent us a note today letting us know he wasn't going to be able to make it. So we have the sheriff, U of I police chief, and Champaign police chief. So take that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully I can give you a little bit of updates from the city of Champaign. And for those, for your first time here, Interim Chief of Police Tom Petrilli. I'll touch on the Chief of Police recruitment here in just a moment. But before that, some information on police recruitments, like police officers. We had 4 new officers start on Monday. 2 of them are new hire officers, and then 2 of them are laterals that are coming to us from other agencies. They will be joined by up to 4 others, presently going under some hiring reviews right now. We also have 2 officers graduating the basic police academy this month to start their field training. So I tell you some of those numbers just to let you know that the staffing at the Champaign Police Department is moving in a positive direction. We're making some hires and really trying to continue our efforts to get some new officers in the doors and bolster our ranks. So that's a little bit of an update on that. As far as the chief of police hire, if you didn't see any of the information out, there were candidates for the chief of police position for Champaign, and that was all done at public events. You may have been present at some of them last Tuesday, or Tuesday, March 29th. The process is being managed by the city manager's office, and we're awaiting word on the outcome for the selection process. So that's to be determined soon. Just in general, our department is still understaffed. Our officers are truly working tirelessly, and they're continuing to be creative in some of their solutions to continue to serve the community because the demands are there. Spring is here, starting to warm up, things are happening. So the officers are definitely working, and as soon as we can get some more folks in the door and trained, I hope to be able to provide services comparable to the level that people are used to. Voluntary online reporting. If you haven't heard about our online reporting, I just want to mention that it was launched in October of 21. It's not for emergency calls or incidents that are in progress, such as accidents that have injuries or something that's happening right now. It really is for the non-emergency calls, nothing that's in progress, your abandoned vehicles, animal complaints, and it's a service. Not everyone, when you call the police, wants to wait on the police. So sometimes it's a service where you need to file a report, and this is something that would allow you to do it online. It'll generate the same product, a police report that'll be reviewed and filed at the police department. So if you're not aware, that's out there. We've taken about 1,200 reports since we launched that in the first 6 months. So as that grows, I think that'll be a resource for folks out in the community. I did want to pass along that we're doing an RFP, a request for proposals for downtown security. That was issued on March 28th. That will assist the police department in being proactive in the kind of high traffic downtown areas. The request is made partly to be responsive to the business community, but with COVID-19 waning, really we're seeing that groups are planning to return to the large scale events. We have Street Fest, Friday Night Live, and other great events that are going to be going on in downtown. So that request for proposals for service for downtown security should help provide and help maintain a safe, fun environment for downtown, those coming to downtown Champaign. As far as shooting updates, we have had some shootings since I talked to you last. We've had 36 incidents in 2022. 2 of those incidents have been homicides, and we've noticed as the temperatures have started to rise, the shooting incidents have started to increase. The 2 homicides that I mentioned, one was March 16th in the 400 block of Ginger Bend. The other one was April 6th in the 1400 block of Peppermill Lane. The only other incident that I want to mention here was accident scenes. There was a tragic crash with a 2-vehicle crash on Saturday, March 5th, resulted in a tragedy for a first responder. You may have heard about it. A tow truck clearing debris in a roadway, and that tow truck operator, who was also a voluntary firefighter, was hit by a passing vehicle and died as a result of those injuries. The highlights are really that accident scenes are dangerous. I know that folks like to look at the police, even police look at the police to see what they're doing. But when you're going by those scenes, I think the public really can help make them safer. Just being mindful of lights and sirens in the roadways. When you see those, that's really the first indicator to people around us that we just need you to do 2 things: slow down, move over. If you can do those, encourage others to do those. That's really those, along with obeying signs and signals from personnel that are on the scene, are probably the 2 biggest things. So I always ask for help in maintaining, safety as we're out working in the community, because that's our mobile workplace. And that's all I have for this month. Mr. Sheriff.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'll hold the mic a little bit further away. I'm going to ad-lib here for a second, because with Chief Seraphin retiring at the end of last month, I've just realized that I am the most senior chief or sheriff in here, and I've only been here for 3.5 years. So kind of eye-opening, right? I say that to tell you and kind of reassure you, like Tom said, as it starts getting warmer, we will continue to see an uptick in crime. We always do. Statistics tell us that that's going to happen. We are committed to working together to try to solve crime from an enforcement perspective, and we're obviously all here today, so we're committed to helping solve it from a community perspective as well. And so I know many of you, we've worked together over the last 3.5 years, but I just wanted to, kind of thinking off of the top of my head as I was standing here listening to Tom, is I don't want you to think that a flux in leadership in the law enforcement agencies in the county compromises at all our community, our dedication to the community, and the working together that we're all passionate about to help curb this violence. So as we get that out, I can't stand up here and say we've had 0 shooting incidents like I have the last 4 months. However, I will say we've had 1 shooting incident. It occurred on March the 30th in county jurisdiction in Urbana Township. We did find shell casings, which is one of the indicators that we use to determine whether it was a shooting incident for our statistics. However, there was no property damage found and there were no injuries involved in that. That is the county jurisdiction's first shooting of the year. And so we continue to provide support to the other agencies. We're going to have more, and so we're continuing to work with our community partners to make sure that we limit that as much as possible and get ahead of it as much as we can. To kind of put things into perspective just a little bit, and Bryant actually did this last month, and I didn't think about it, but by this time in 2021, we had 5 shooting incidents in county jurisdiction. In 2020, we had 3. And in 2019, we had 3 by this time in those last years. And so we're doing good so far, and we're going to try to stay ahead of it. But it's a community effort. And if anybody's ever heard me speak, I always say we got to do this together. It's a community issue, and we've got to be a community to address it. So thank you very much, and thanks for your attendance today. And I always appreciate your time.
Thank you, everyone. I really want to talk about mental health and talk a little bit about our co-responder model and how busy they've been, especially last month. A little bit of statistics and a little bit of information about the co-responder model. It teams a specially trained police officer with a social worker, and so they're teamed in the same car. They're dispatched to typically the CIT calls for service, which are crisis intervention calls. But a lot of that expands on other types of calls for service, providing comfort for public speaking, for instance. But no, they last month they responded to 27 dispatch calls for service, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but for the area that we provide service for, that's quite a bit. And of those 20, there you go. He'll work the room for us. We conducted 21 follow-ups for those calls, and that's connecting the dots for services for those individuals that don't normally have that service. So it's a wraparound service that they're providing. And with that, earlier last year, we created an academy for social work and public safety cooperation. So our second one is scheduled to kick off on the 23rd of May. And so what that is a 40-hour training for mental health professionals who routinely work with law enforcement. So we're providing them with tools to be out on the street to help us out. I'm happy to announce that we are opening a substation on Green Street, 505 East Green Street. So that's going to host our community outreach team, our reach team, and it's going to have our police officers in there doing the report writing. There's enough room to hold our Citizens Academy there and our student patrol. So it's going to be a nice little conduit for services, and down there where the students are and where their businesses are. So we're pretty excited about that, and we're hopeful to have an open house at the end of maybe next month. I'm not sure yet, but we're working on the other things. The academic school year is coming to an end. Yay. Getting our students graduated safely is really big, so we're working on commencements. And then finally, in August, we're teaming up with Mothers Against Drunk Driving to do a Walk Like Mad. And this is to honor Lieutenant Aaron Landers, who was killed by a drunk driver last August. So we're going to honor him and help bring some awareness to drunk driving, because it's still a huge issue in our communities. So there's more information on that to come. Dementro is our Director of Community Engagement. He has all kinds of programs. So you see his advertisements, his community newsletters, and so he's really active in engaging our police department with our community. So that's about it for us at UIPD.
I don't know if there was a quick question for any of the leadership at all. All right, so let's give them another round of applause and say thank you. All right, so want to make an announcement here that hopefully you all spread the word. Each year we receive a grant from the Champaign County Mental Health Board in partnership with the Don Moore Boys and Girls Club to have what we call our summer initiatives. And I want to announce today that we're starting that process. The Mental Health Board has approved another contract for us. So these are specialty programs, non-traditional programs. I like to say that. So, my good friend Jeff is here from the Y, and, they've got all kind of support. But I know you know people that have great ideas and have an interest in working with kids. Or we have artists that want to do some specialty projects and help connect with kids and students and do art projects. We have church groups that are wanting to do, projects. Dr. Neffy has been one of the organizations that we've supported the last couple of years. She's doing phenomenal stuff around youth leadership. So I've said the last meeting or so just how concerned I am about academic performances and our test scores, all of that's starting to come out. And we've got to be very intentional that we've got to have some academic learning taking place this summer. So we want to put some focus and emphasis on academics in addition to the arts and recreation and fun stuff and aspirational things for our students and kids and families. But we also want to put some intentional time on academics. We've got to keep our kids more time on task with academics. So we're announced today, shoot me a proposal, one-page proposal that said, hey, Tracy, this is my project. This is what I want to do. This is how many kids I'm going to serve. This is where I'm going to do it at. Or if I need a place to do it at, then I can help you connect with the park districts or a church or a community center or with Jeff and what they're doing with Y on the Fly and all those things. So I'm making the announcement now. And hopefully within the next month or so, we'll start getting proposals that we can fund our summer initiatives. Okay, so you see in the middle of our logo and all that, it says walk as one, right? So the theory is, as a community, we come together, but we all are walking together to close the gaps to serve our community. And roughly quarterly before the pandemic, we would have community-wide events where we invite the community to come out and participate. Go into an identified neighborhood. I was thinking about Chief Carey, and we used to do right before unofficial, go on campus to pass out information about alcohol awareness. So we've gone in the Latino trailer park in Urbana to pass out information. So we are planning our first Walk as One event, and I want to bring up Abby Hobbs, who's going to talk about that.
So I've got a little video just to get you warmed up here and make you happy.
Okay. They need to work on that, right? Yes, okay. Did you understand it though? No. Okay. All right. Huh? Oh, no, not this one. This is the grand finale of this. Yeah, that's the last one. That's what I was wondering. I don't know what they're gonna do next season because they did some stuff this time. Exactly what I was thinking. Oh yeah. Right. Don't bring that again. You know what I'm saying? Don't do the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. Yeah. Like, go somewhere else with that, but don't bring it here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what I said. And then it was like, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, what in the world? But don't do it here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Really? I thought the same thing. We think a lot alike, huh? Oh, that's crazy. Right.
Oh, okay. There we go. So again, that was just a little warm up to make you all start thinking about how important it is to connect with our little ones really early and really often. And so we have this new effort that will begin in May called Read, Talk, Play Every Day. And again, just what I said, it's about connecting early and often. You all are here, you know the importance of connecting. And we feel like the earlier we can make connections with our kids, the bigger the changes and the bigger the success that they'll see in school and in their future. This is an effort that came out of the, a few years ago, CU Cradle to Career organization. One of the goal teams during that effort was called Kindergarten Readiness. And we started gathering people from all over the county that take care of kids on all kinds of different levels. And we continue to meet, and I think we'll continue to meet for a long time. And that group is the school districts, the preschools, Head Start, Crisis Nursery, all of the home visiting organizations. And I want to just tell you, if you ever need a dose of hope, sit in on one of those meetings. There are so many people around this county who are totally focused on kids and making their lives better and more successful, happier. It's just a real shot in the arm to be in that group. Well, so for years, we talked about doing some kind of an awareness campaign. You guys have probably heard that, oops, pushed that too hard, about 80%, depending on what resource you look at, about 80% of your brain development happens before kindergarten. So those early years, from the minute that baby is born up until kindergarten, can make all the difference in the world in a child's future. Hopefully, it changes these statistics where a whole lot of kids in our county are coming to kindergarten not ready to learn, both academically and social, emotionally in that area as well. So this new awareness campaign, as I said, is called Read, Talk, Play Every Day. One of the main objectives is to develop a website that families, caregivers can go to. It's simply called readtalkplay.org. And you will go to that as a caregiver and be able to plug in the age of your child, your sibling, your grandchild, and get new ideas and resources for that particular age group, for reading and talking and playing. A mom or a dad or a grandma or a sister, oh my gosh, it's going to be a beautiful day tomorrow. I've got the kids with me. What can I do? Where can I go? I'm going to go on Read, Talk, Play and figure out a new, easy, simple activity that I can do with my kids. That will go live in May. We're doing lots of community engagement in the form of like PR pieces. If you are out in the public a lot and you'd like a button to wear all the month of May that says Read, Talk, Play every day, so that if somebody comes up to you and says, what is that? You can talk to them about how important all of that is at a really early age for kids. And the most exciting part is our Walk as One neighborhood walk on May the 12th. I've been working with Mary Catherine and Tracy and the school districts to pinpoint neighborhoods where we know have a lot of young kids, all in Champaign, Urbana, and Rantoul. We are trying to get volunteers to walk that evening from 5 to 7. In each town, there will be a meeting place where the volunteers will come. We'll talk a little bit about what we're doing, hand out maps, and maybe practice a little bit about what you might say, and then team up. And then those teams will go out, depending on how many volunteers we have, hope to have about 3 to 5 people on each team, and they will literally go door to door. Hi, I'm a friend of yours in Champaign. Do you have young kids in your house? Oh no, I'm too old. Do you have a grandchild? Well, yeah, actually I do. And does he come to your house? Well, yeah, he does. Great. We will have bags for each household that has anything to do with caring for little kids. In those bags will be books. We're getting books from all different directions. But there'll also be items that are really simple things, like a can of shaving cream. And I know that sounds dangerous for anyone with teenagers, but on that can of shaving cream, there'll be little instructions on easy, simple, fun things you can do with your kids with shaving cream. Get a cookie sheet, spray it out, draw your name or a letter or anything fun. All of a sudden, your child learns to use that motion that they'll use later in writing. So those bags will be filled with all kinds of really good resources for anyone with young children. And okay, say you have a 6-month-old, you can use those books, obviously, and hopefully save all the rest for later. So there, I'm gonna show you, I do have a flyer that if you'd like to take one, they're right on the corner of the stage. Put it up on a bulletin board anywhere at work, at an organization that you're involved with. It has a QR code that you can scan, and it'll take you right to that Sign Up Genius link, and you can get signed up. And you can say if you want to walk in Urbana or Champaign or Rantoul, or if you want me to just put you where we need you. There are some future things that we hope to do. The United Way's Emerging Community Leaders Program is working with Kiwanis on a new library laundry project, so that when families go to the laundromat, kids will have a little mini library to hang out and read, maybe a little table and chairs. So those will be read, talk, play, everyday libraries. We're also talking about doing a fall luncheon series for anyone in the community, just to talk about the importance of early childhood education and what that might mean for the future of our community if we all jump in and say, okay, these 2- and 3-year-olds, I might be a business owner. What do they have to do with me? Well, they're my future workforce. And if we can pour into them during those early years more often, our community will be a different place. I'm trying to think what the next slide is. Oh, the other thing that you can help me with, if by chance you have an organization that would like to have some kind of a competition in the next couple of weeks and see who can bring in the most cans of shaving cream, we're trying to gather. We hope to distribute 400 bags that night. And so if there's someone out there that says, oh yeah, I could really have fun with that, boxes of crayons, shaving cream, all kinds of goodies, please just let me know. We will take your donations. And okay, that's it. Again, this flyer has the Sign Up Genius link and the QR code, and really want to make this walk from all areas of Champaign County. So hope you can participate with us. Anybody have questions?
There are neighborhood groups that do, for example, monthly food distribution, so they're already hitting the whole neighborhood. If you might be able to coordinate with them, and
that'd be awesome.
Because they're a known quantity, so people answer the door.
We'd love for neighbors to be connecting with neighbors. So maybe after this, you can let me know how to connect with those groups. That'd be terrific. Anybody else? Oh yeah, it's simple. Hobbs, HOBBS.abby@gmail.com. Oh, and it's ABBY, just like Dear Abby.
All right, let's give Abby and her group a round of applause.
Thanks.
So we really want to get out into our neighborhoods and our communities. Mike's here from the union. Maybe you can help pass this through to the teacher groups. We are looking at some specific areas, so we'll be releasing that soon on where we're going to walk and those things as well. So, all right. So Sam Smith is here next to talk about a great project that we just completed a couple of weeks ago. And, oh, great. We got a team of folks. We're going to put you guys on the stage over here. All right? Yeah. All right.
Okay. So, do I get to sing?
No.
So we haven't rehearsed this at all. Obviously, right? The theater people, we haven't rehearsed at all. Thank you for coming. It's good to see you again. I want to tell you a story about this guy. So maybe I'll just take a couple of minutes and introduce the project, and then I'll let my good friend and colleague Angeliki and talk a little bit. Just as some background, how many of you have heard of a Spike Lee film called Lysistrata or Chirac? See, everybody says Chirac. Okay. So Spike's film was based on a classic Greek text about a war between warring states. Angeliki happens to be an expert in Greek tragedy. And so we've done some work, and there's been work happening across the country, in fact, across the globe, using classic Greek text in order to address issues of trauma. There's a group in the United States that's called the Theater of War Production that got their start in the 1990s working with veterans. There's some writing about this trauma-based intervention in a book called The Body Keeps Score, for those of you that have interest in trauma. And so Angeliki and I have done a couple of projects together, and recently we were looking at doing another project, and there is a piece that is called Antigone, which is a classic Greek tragedy, which is again about warring states historically, and we decided to do a piece that is called Extigone. So we found an adaptation of the piece Antigone that is named Extigone, that is written by a young African-American playwright from Chicago. Her name is Nambi E. Kelly. And Nambi E. Kelly, like Spike Lee, takes the issue of community violence, gun violence, and gang violence and puts it into that classical Greek form. So next slide, maybe. We decided to work together and do a small production of this piece called Extigone. Next slide. And so a number of community and campus partners sort of helped to make this work. The Champaign Coalition actually paid our 15 young actors in order to help us put together this piece. The Central PTSA, I guess that's Parent Teacher Student Association, were very important in terms of helping to promote it and organizing students from Central High School. And then we had these like really beautiful young people. I found you at Farmer's Market, right? You were walking. No. How did I find you?
We met at a Martin Luther King event.
Okay.
Yes, we did. Oh, it's not on. But I was loud.
You were loud.
But
okay.
We met at a Martin Luther King event, and Sam was really nice. And we chatted, and we didn't see each other too much after that. But it was really nice when we did actually, link back up, kinda.
That's what
and
I'm saying.
do this project together. It was awesome.
Right. So we had university departments, academic professors who sort of write about this stuff in a very scholarly way, and teenagers, young people, and community organizations. The Racial Justice Subcommittee from the coalition supported us. And then, of course, Cranach Center and lots of other university partners. Next slide, please. There's a lot of text here. And so why did we do this? One was to engage young people in what we considered important work. So we brought together about 15 students from about 5 different schools, high schools, and a couple of middle school students to do this piece. And it was a dramatic reading of the text of Extigone. And one of the students said about the work, this is the only time that students from different schools have come together to do something collaborative as opposed to something competitive, right? And so, and I hadn't even thought about that, but the idea was to do something that was fun, that was engaging, and then also thinking about the value of returning to these classic texts, the lessons that they continue to have for us. And, and also we know that the arts have the potential to change lives, to change communities. And then it was a lot of fun. We had fun's all right. It's okay to have fun. And then, of course, there's always real deep learning in these kinds of activities. Next slide. So here's some photos. Can you see that? Can you see it?
I can't really see
You can come over here. Come over here and see it. All right, so here's some photos of the cast and one of the directors. We had these amazing directors. The bald fellow there is a guy by the name of Paul O'Mani, who is a director of a theater company out of the United Kingdom called Out of Chaos Theater Company, and he does this work with Greek text. So Paul came over for about a week and spent time with us. We also had this fabulous young African-American MFA acting student who was a co-director with Paul, and they work directly with the students. So, one of the things about our community is there's so much talent. So this was such an amazing project. Here's a story about this guy. I was one day talking about how great the directors were and how great Angeliki is. She's this professor of classics. And he said, Sam, we all right too, like right? Remember that? Us young people, give us our flowers, and it really just made me think about how much talent. And next slide. And I shouldn't be doing so much talking. So go back once. Yeah.
No, because the other one, I was not in that one. I was cropped out of that one. So that's amazing. Oh my God. Wow.
That's a nice photo of you too.
Yes, that was the night of the Ex-Dignity play. I was the mayor, so.
So Carmine, why don't you talk to us about that experience for you and the other students that participated in it?
Well, the experience for me, honestly, aside from us doing the dedication, the gun violence, whatever, it was really like stepping out of our comfort zone and you know what I mean? Like doing things that we don't always usually do. And I feel like that for me was something that I enjoyed so much. You know what I mean? She had Sharan, she had us doing exercises and moving around, and you know what I mean? It really was definitely a great experience to be able to work with all those different, you know what I mean? We were from different schools, so we don't know each other. It was awesome, you know what I mean? My character Marcellus, he was older, and he had more of a bold kind of attitude, and the laws and the rules that he wanted to make and stuff like that, he was very passionate about. And I feel like that like corresponded so well with me. I feel like that's why Sharan gave me that role. So it was definitely amazing getting to be able to express that and, do all those different things. So it was awesome.
You think students enjoyed participating as well as you did, or did you all talk about that and the need for these types of things?
I definitely think they all enjoyed it, and it was for like a lot of the kids that we did get, we got them on like a Monday, and we had to do it Friday. So it was like, for them, when they first jumped in, it was like everybody was a little confused, like what's going on, you know what I mean? So it was even a better feeling when the end product was still, it was awesome, and we didn't even hardly know each other. So it was definitely different, but I think they all enjoyed it. I know I did. So yes, for sure.
Angelique, is there anything you wanted to share?
So
Real quickly?
Very quickly. I want to share a couple of things about the continuation of the work. So my hope in an ideal world came true. What I wanted more than anything was to have students who did not have prior exposure to theater, and to give them, first of all, to expose them to this amazing experience of learning how to step out of character, be in the theater, and then do an entire play. But also, it is, and continues to be a way in which, as young people, particularly at this time, they need to be supported, but they also need to find a different space than the schools to come together and talk about what's going on, what's happening during the pandemic, what is it like to lose people, to lose friends around you, what is it like to go through new metal detectors, and the schools are doing their best, but there is no real plan to address that kind of thing. So this was a pilot experiment, which I think worked very well. Unfortunately, at the moment, we have a video of the performance, and Carmen and the students had a post-performance discussion, which was amazing. There were teachers there that said this was not just like a regular post-show discussion. They actually talked. So my hope is that, first of all, how do you talk about something so big, right? So crushing. So the play helped them find ways in which they could explore through the story, right? What's going on? It's a story they've grown up with. They said their parents or their uncles have been talking about violence in schools. And then they just so assertively and so articulately, they could articulate so well their thoughts and emotions. And yes, they wanted more. I also want to say that I will brag about the opportunity that was given to the students with Paul O'Mahony and Sharance Higgins. You do not find this. And Paul wants to come back, and we're trying to get grants so that he can do this work annually with us. So I want to thank really deeply from my heart the coalition for sponsoring, and in particular sponsoring the students. And I will take half a minute more.
A quarter of a minute.
It's Sam's fault.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. But I want to take a half minute because what was important this time is to understand there's no model for this. And people, it's not just a school production. It was really hard to access the schools. So we learned a lot, and we're going to do it. So on another occasion, I'd be happy to explain to you in more detail what the model is and how we can work together. But I kid you not, I think theater is a superb way to do this. And there is a reason why they go back to Greek tragedy, because the original place to study trauma is a Greek word. It means a wound. So enough. Thank you so much.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. Carmine, thanks for making it out today and sharing. And, I really love this experience. So when we think about projects, I want us thinking about projects where we compensate the kids for participation. I think in today's world that's important. We want to do that as part of what we're supporting. So Cynthia and your team, the Girls Go Forward project, you're next.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you for the time and the opportunity to present today. I'm Cynthia Bruno, part of Girls Go For It. This is Denise Poindexter, who is on our board as well. And we want to talk to you a little bit about the organization, which has been part of the community since 2015. Talk to you about what we've done so far in those years and what we hope to do in the coming years. So our mission is to develop the leadership potential, entrepreneurial spirit, and professional abilities of young girls through building confidence, knowledge, and creating opportunity. And real quickly before we go on, I want to kind of put you in the mindset of the women and young girls that we serve. So think back to what it was like for you to be in 5th grade. What was that experience like for you? I have yet to hear anyone say, you know what, time of my life. No one thinks that. Because there are a lot of things that start happening to our youth around that 5th grade time. We start thinking about ourselves differently, our families differently, our friendships, our relationships differently. And what we saw was a real gap in the community when we started Girls Go For It. And it really started because of some of our other volunteer work that we were doing at the time. So this is a picture of myself and Kelly O'Neill, who co-founded the organization with me. And we were mentors in the CU one-to-one school system and in the CU one-to-one program. My mentee was in 5th grade, and she had kind of struggled with direction, but one day I went to her classroom, and on the door there were photos of all of the students holding chalkboards saying what they wanted to be when they grew up, and hers said doctor. And I was immediately like, she's going to Harvard, this is great. I start talking to her, and she said, you know, I don't really want to be a doctor, Miss Cynthia. They just said I had to write something down before the bell rang so they could get our picture and we could go inside. And I said, what do you want to be? And she said, no one's ever asked me that before. And just like I saw all of you do there, I kind of took that same deep breath and thought, I wish this wasn't the reality for her. And I was talking to my friend Kelly, who had a mentee who was in high school, and this conversation had weighed so heavily on me during the day that when I spoke to Kelly, she said, I hear the same thing from my mentee, and she's in high school. And we started thinking about, is there a gap here? Is there a gap in confidence and leadership development for our young women in this community? And we actually went out and tried to find other organizations that we could bring here, and we couldn't find anything that really focused on that the way that we wanted it to. We found organizations for young women that were sports-oriented, which are great, we love those. We found ones that were hobby-oriented, again, great, we love those. But we didn't see something out there yet that was really focused on leadership and confidence development. And that's how Girls Go For It was born.
And I thank them for that, and thank them that they asked me to be a part of this opportunity to get it going so many years ago. So traditionally, Girls Go For It did start off as an after-school program. We piloted the program at Carrie Busey. Yay, Jeff, thank you for saying yes to us for the first time. And we developed a curriculum that was designed for a 6-week after-school program. Now, we have been fortunate or forced due to things that have happened over the last couple of years to provide Girls Go For It in other opportunities as well, creating a one-day program as well as a virtual program. But the curriculum is designed to focus on these 6 components, talking about during the first week, what is Girls Go For It, really driving in our mission and talking about the many things that they were learned throughout the 6 weeks. We go into self-love and bullying. That's really focused on identity. You know, as Cynthia talked about, you know, having you reflect on your experience when you were in the 5th grade and you started having all these different thoughts about who am I, what is going on with my body, what is happening with my thoughts, am I part of a girl group or not? There are mean girls all over the place. And so we designed this the second week part of the curriculum to really start focusing on identity and loving themselves as well as identity-based bullying. The third week is a really exciting time for us to bring in women who are in different areas in the industry and talk about their careers and how their identity is impacted within the different careers that they are involved in. And it's a really great opportunity for the young girls to ask these women questions about their careers and what steps do they need to take now in the 5th grade to start thinking about developing some of those skills or just having the awareness of some of those opportunities. We talk about SMART goals, how they can take the confidence that they're building and actually start exploring some of those career options. That gets them to the 5th week, which is really exciting because they actually get the opportunity to create a roadmap to success. So each of the weeks, we build upon these different competencies and different levels of information that they are collecting to help them build this roadmap that truly outlines every single step that they need to take to be able to accomplish the goals that they've set, whether it's a short-term goal or a really long-term goal. And they get to use glitter if they want to, which is never really been happy when we're in the schools and they come back the next day and glitter is all over the place. But they do a really good job. And then the final week, they actually have the opportunity to present their roadmap to the other participants that they've gone on this journey with. And it's a really great opportunity for these young girls to really share publicly among their peers some of the goals that they have that they want to accomplish. As I mentioned, we might have been forced to think about other ways to deliver Girls Go Forward. So in 2020, when the pandemic hit, we obviously no longer had the opportunity to have an after-school program in person, and we pivoted in real time and was able to develop a virtual program. And we were able to deliver that actually with 3 different components. There was a live virtual program where the participants all over the country. So, while we were forced to do this, we actually had the opportunity to connect with young girls across the country for our program. And there was a live component where each of the participants would just log into Zoom, and we will have our coaches facilitate the program in an appropriate virtual manner. We also created opportunities for them to log on and review other content that they could do at their own pace as well. And we continued with our volunteer training and continue to think about some of the protocols that we had in place in person, such as the background check, the fingerprinting, et cetera, to make sure that we still had created a safe environment virtually as well.
Okay, here's a little bit of information about the data and the population that Girls Go For It has served over the years. So you see here this pilot program at Carrie Busey. We had a strong start in 2015 with 16 of their 5th grade girls participating. And this is just, one way to remember we're intaking this data is really up until 2020. These were all just 5th grade girls throughout mostly Unit 4. This is the data that you're seeing here. We do have in all of the programs that we've run a majority of the students identifying as non-white, and then also a vast majority of those students also on free and reduced lunch. We'll talk a little bit about some other barriers that we really try to remove when we are creating and carrying out this program. A couple of things I want to point out is you can see really our population of participants growing from 2015 to 2018. In 2019, we did have a little bit of a different arrangement with the Unit 4 school district. So we've really been in almost every single elementary school within Unit 4, and we're looking for opportunities to expand into Urbana and beyond. We've also started doing work with community partners. So in 2022, we started for President's Day, which, if you don't know, many students have off school that day, but many parents still have to go to work. So we partnered with the Don Moyer Boys and Girls Club and did a one-day program with them to make sure that youth still had some really positive and empowering programming that they could attend during that day. And I know we're running short on time, so we'll pick up the pace a little bit here. Okay, did I miss one? Okay, so one of the things we want to talk about, and Denise, I'll let you pick up here, is in these program outcomes, one of the things we do is we survey all of the students at the beginning and the end of each Girls Go For It program. We also have surveyed the teachers in the past who have been part of this, or other community coaches who have been part of this, and the students' parents as well.
Yeah, and the great part about surveying is that we are able to compare what the students were thinking day one and what they were thinking at the end of the program. And Cynthia, if you go to the next slide, it will actually show some of the quotes that we received that some of the girls share with us that they experienced from the program. And this is what makes being a volunteer extremely rewarding. And then for us, being able to put this program together and really seeing that it's actually working and doing what we have set out for it to do and impacting these girls in such a positive manner. I will share just one quick story. I remember when we first piloted at Carrie Busey, and there was a bullying incident, and one of the girls had decided to intervene and interact with what was happening. And when the teacher asked her, how did she learn to interject in this bullying situation? And she said, I learned it from Girls Go For It. So, good. So we do offer volunteer training. There are a variety of ways in which we recruit our volunteers. We have an amazing partnership with University of Illinois, the Education 201 course. Word of mouth is always really amazing for us. Those that have served as volunteers in the past will share their amazing experience with others, and we're able to continue to increase our volunteer participant through that way as well.
Okay, so here's a little bit about where we are going with Girls Go For It. So just so everyone here knows, Girls Go For It is completely free to all of the participants involved. We are an all volunteer run and volunteer based organization, and no girl ever has to pay to be part of Girls Go For It. We raise donations instead and are able to carry out the programming that way. Over the last couple of years, we've had a really good partnership with the University of Illinois' education department. So we source many of our volunteers from the Education 201 cohort, students who are hoping to learn what it's like to be in the classroom and be, an educator, an instructor, get to have a taste of that through Girls Go For It. We also have partnered with the Department of Curriculum and Instruction at the University of Illinois. And in 2020, we launched our bilingual program, so Girls Go For It in English and Spanish for our Spanish-speaking students. And that was very popular in 2020 when we were virtual, and we hope to have some more program adoption for this in the coming years. This is just information about us. And then finally, we really want to, use this time and presenting to this group as a call to action. Girls Go For It does not have a physical location. What we do is we partner with the area schools, area school districts, other community partners, places where we can come in and host this programming. We provide the volunteers, we provide the curriculum, we just ask for some help recruiting students who you think might be a good fit for this. Although we've traditionally concentrated on 5th grade, we've now expanded our programming to include middle school students, and we've got some partners who are helping us expand to high school. So please do get in touch with us if you know of opportunities for us to continue our work, and we really appreciate your time and attention today, even as we've taken up a little more than we should have.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. So thank you for that information. And I love the testimonials that said, I know now that I can be a scientist, and that's just not for boys, right? I love that. Okay, so we're going to bring Diane up. We've heard a lot about our Race Relations Committee and the work that's taking place there. We're creating opportunities and ways to learn about race, connect around race, and have more conversations. So we've got an event coming up here in a couple of weeks that Diane's going to share with you.
Thank you. As Tracy said, I'm Diane Orr. I'm a member of the Community Engagement Arm of the Champaign County Community Coalition Race Relations Committee. We're excited to be hosting a community conversation on race and race relations on Thursday evening, April 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Champaign Public Library. We'll begin the evening with a boxed meal catered from the Library Cafe. And while we're eating, we'll be listening to an episode from Don Lemon's podcast series called Silence is Not an Option, entitled How to Raise an Anti-Racist Generation. And I just listened to it again this morning for the 3rd or 4th time. And every time I listen to it, I learn something new and I get a different idea. Following the podcast, all participants will take part in small group discussions facilitated by members of the Race Relations Committee. And the purpose of this community engagement event is to provide space for community members to interact with new and different people while discussing feelings and perceptions and attitudes about race with one another. And we're hoping to find common denominators among attendees and reasons for furthering this conversation at future events. So please join us for some food and some swag and and a great podcast and excellent conversation. And please amplify this event. We'll be sending it out, I'm assuming. Coalition Social Media. Please amplify this event to all of your friends and your networks, and we hope to see you there.
And that date is April 28th. Thursday.
April 28th. What did I say? April 21st?
21st.
Oh, sorry.
So it's 28th.
I was looking right at it. April 28th. Sorry.
All right. Thank you so much. Please spread the word. We'll be getting the word out more over the next few days. And so thank you for hanging with us a little bit past 5. The last thing we just wanted to share with you is our next News Brews and Beats conversations that we've been having will be taking place May 9th at the Poor Brothers downtown. This is a fantastic space to talk about community issues. We're going to have a really, really dynamic panel as we've had on each one. So thank you, everyone, again today, coming out, navigating the weather for us. And it's a great turnout. I didn't know what we would have today. So thank you so much. Peace and love to you, and we'll see you next month.